that should be us now live. I'm just going to get some music started. Sorry. What happened there? Right, hopefully we should have some music in the background. Excellent. Let me know if the background music needs to be louder or anything. Or quieter in this case. And yes, I thought tonight I'd do something a little different. I thought we'd go through and I would do my ranking for all of these animals. And I'm just going to quickly change this one to there we go. So I'm going to be ranking every creature in the game that we've had so far up to the deviant species. This particular tier maker, it's the most up-to-date one I could find, but it doesn't have the Malta species on it, but that's fine. I've already spoken about the Malta species anyway. And I've come up with my categories. So I think what I'm going to start with is just put one animal in each category so you can kind of get a feel for what my opinions are for each category. So starting at the bottom then, and creatures that I think could be removed from the game because they're not very good. And hello to you, Kyan, isn't it? Sorry. Hello Millhouse as well, good evening, and Jurassic Kiwi, hello as well. So, an animal that I think the game could just remove entirely, replace with something else, is unfortunately, now where is it? Myosaura. It's boring. It's too much like Edmontosaurus. If you want a stripy hadrosaur, you pick Iguanodon. It's very ugly. And is a very boring dinosaur. So I would remove Myosaura. A species that I think is bad, Compsognathus. It's too small. The skins are not that great, but compies are too small to be really useful in the game. We don't have a very good implementation for very small dinosaur species. So you don't see them most of the time. They're just very annoying. A boring dinosaur. So boring. These are just kind of very bland, disappointing. Apatosaurus is an example here. Apatosaurus for me is a boring dinosaur because the skins are bad, the patterns are bad, and why would you use Apatosaurus when we've got so many other better sauropods to use instead? An okay dinosaur for me is something that the Diplodocus is also kind of mad. We'll go through in alphabetical order in a minute. What I'm doing is I'm putting one in each category so you can get the idea of what I'm kind of looking at when it comes to dinosaurs. So an okay dinosaur, something that's run of the mill, for me is Triceratops. The skins are not particularly brilliant. They're okay. The patterns are not particularly brilliant. They're okay. The animations they have are kind of fine. Hello, Aiden. I wouldn't use Triceratops too much in my parks because I think there are better ceratopsians. It's just an okay species for me. An example of a very good species. And a good species. Probably would be... Not sure. Something... A good species is one that's kind of got some problems. It's got some nice... Maybe it has a few nice skins, but, you know, it maybe is not 100% brilliant. No, I would probably put in there maybe one of the... It's difficult actually. We do have quite a few species, don't we? Actually, just looking at them all laid out, there is actually a lot here to talk about. I'd probably actually put the Cerato in as just good. Hello, the Gaming Reptile. And hello, Something, and Pedro, Jose. You know, Cerato, it's got some of the skins and some of the pattern combos are nice. Some of them are very bad. It's not particularly an interesting animal. I mean, it has the horn on its nose. It's okay. You know, it's just a good animal. Best for me, you know, an animal that is absolutely brilliant. You know, for it to be best, it's got to have, you know, overwhelmingly good skin and pattern combinations. It's got to have something unique and special about the animal. Let's see, what would I put in there as an example? I would probably put, say, Iguanodon in there. Now, it's got really nice, beautiful patterns and skins. It's really decently designed. For me, it's one of the best dinosaurs in the game. My biased personal choice... So these are species which I think are great, even though they have problems, but they are species that I would always have in there. Liplorodon. You know, I don't care that it looks strange. I don't care that it maybe some of the skins and patterns are a bit boring. I don't care that it's a lagoon animal, so it's a bit uninteresting. For me, the Liplorodon is also always a great choice because I'm biased for it. So that's sort of my example here. You know, remove it, dinosaurs I just don't think have a purpose in the game because there are better. Bad dinosaurs that are just bad in whatever different ways. Boring for bland and uninteresting ones. Okay for sort of run-of-the-mill dinosaurs that don't offer anything too amazing. Good for animals that are generally okay, but there are one or two issues, and best for really good. And I'm going to be looking at this from the position of skins and animations and their purpose in game and the park. So, we will go through in alphabetical order. So we start with Acro. Acrocanthosaurus. All of the skins are pretty decent. The patterns, pretty decent. So that puts it in the top half already. It has some interesting animations. Some interesting social stuff. So I'm not including anything about the novels here, Manuel, because... just because it's in the novel doesn't make it good for the game, which is my problem with the compy. You know, it's been in the films, but that doesn't make it good for the game. And Maiasaura as a dinosaur is actually only interesting because of the egg-related paleontological history. Apart from that, it's just another hadrosaur. So, you know. Now, back to the Acro. If I was going to criticize the Acro in any way, it would probably be that I think it stands too upright. it has a very strange posture. But apart from that, I don't really mind. So I'm going to put it as one of the best. I think it's one of the best, if not the best, big carnivore in-game. Albertosaurus. Again, there are quite a few good skins. Not all of them work, but there are quite a few good skins and good patterns. I think it fills the niche of something that's not a very big carnivore, but more of a medium-sized carnivore. The animations are not that interesting, pretty similar to the other medium-sized carnivores in the game. I don't mind the weird eyebrows it has. I think it kind of distinguishes it amongst all of the other medium carnivores, but I don't think it's as good as some others. So I'm going to put it in the good category for that. I don't think it's okay, Jurassic Kiwi. I think it's too interesting in terms of its skins and patterns for that. Okay are animals that maybe just don't have enough good skins and patterns for them. Now, Allosaurus is a difficult one for me. It's going to be in the middle somewhere. And the reason for that is that the patterns that it has in Jurassic World Evolution 2 are terrible. There are some real stinkers in the Allosaurus category. There's very poor color combinations in the patterns, and then none of the patterns really work too well with the skin colors. I also don't particularly like the 2022 skin for it, the Malta skin. I think it's a very disappointing skin. And I don't think it looks anything like the Battle at Big Rock Allo that it's supposed to represent. Yeah, and this is the problem, something I agree with you. Like, the Allosaurus really only looks good in a blank pattern with different skins. Which means you're kind of only getting 50% of the skin combinations for it. So I think it's an okay dinosaur. It needs something to lift it. Amargasaurus, straight in, biased, great choice. But I actually think the Amarga itself is just a brilliant animal anyway. It's cute, it's a small sauropod, so it feels a niche. The punk spines make it look distinctive, and all of the skins and all of the patterns are fantastic. I don't think it needs any argument. Ankylosaurus. So, the Ankylosaurids in general in the game, they do have a problem that they have very boring and bland skins and boring and bland patterns, which makes them very difficult to like. I think I like the model of the Ankylosaurus. I prefer the Ankylosaurus model to the Euoplocephalus model, which I'll talk about when we get to that. But I think the Euoplocephalus has the better skins. I do like the bumpy skin for the Yankee, only because, you know, I don't care about Count Cretaceous, but I like the bumpy skin because it adds some colour. It's actually a decent skin for the Yankee. I think, for me, the Yankee is just an okay animal. Potentially... Actually, no, I think I would put it in as boring, actually, because, again, it does have that lack of skins. Oh, the 2001 skin. Actually, yeah. The 2001 skin I like on the Yankee, so I will put it into okay. Jurassic Kiwi, you saved the Ankylosaurus from being rated as boring. Archaeornithomimus. Okay, the problem with that Archaeornithomimus is Struthi and Galley are basically the same animal, but have better skins and better patterns. And yeah, I mean, I'm almost with you, Pedro. I'm almost with remove it and replace it with something better. If you remove Maya, the Archeo needs to go. I'll agree with you there, Manuel. Yeah, I would remove Archaeornithomimus. Attenboroughsaurus, the first of the lagoon animals. So Attenborough has very nice patterns, very nice skins. The problem that we're going to have with all of the lagoon animals is because they have no social animations and no real animations apart from eating, swimming, and bashing themselves against the side of the lagoon, we kind of have to rate the lagoon animals on their skins alone. I think the Attenboroughsaurus is one of the best. I wouldn't go as far as to say it's my personal biased choice, but it's one of the best, I think. Baryonyx. Oh, the poor... I'm actually going to turn the background music down just a little bit. The Baryonyx. I'm not sure about Barry. So something says the Barry is bad. Aiden says it's the best. Jurassic Kiwi says it's cool. Okay, something. You say the Barry is bad. I'd like you to explain why do you think the Baryonyx is bad? Convince us of your opinion, because I'm not sure myself about the Barry. Jurassic Tyrant would put it under boring. Its skins are not interesting. That is true. Barry's skins are disappointing. The head looks like a baguette. Pedro says, I think it's cool because it's unique, but the skins are a shame. Suko, according to Manuel, looks better than Barry on almost every sense. Yeah. Aiden, it's his second favourite dino. All of the skins are pretty much boring apart from the base model, but its Camp Cretaceous skins are the only thing that saves it from being completely disappointing. Whereas Jurassic Kiwi is the opposite. He'd say he puts it in good because of the Camp Cretaceous skins. So I'll let you in. Baryonyx is actually one of my favourite dinosaurs of all time. Partly because it's British, partly because it's got such a cool name, partly because I just think it's such a cool looking animal. I think Jurassic World Evolution won, and as a result, because they've copy and pasted it over, Jurassic World Evolution 2's Barry suffers from looking very weird. They've gone too heavy with the sort of alligator crocodile look for it, with the scoots and everything else. It doesn't look a thing like the skeleton. The head's too wide, the posture is wrong. The skins, I agree, are bad. The Camp Cretaceous skins, for me, don't really save it. I agree with you, Jurassic. I don't understand why they didn't keep with that website concept art image of the Barry, which looks so much better, so much more accurate, and so much more interesting. So yeah, I think because they kind of royally screwed up, I'm going to put it in the bad section for poor old Barry. They screwed up with that one. Brachiosaurus. I'm putting it in boring, and I'll explain why. In Jurassic World Evolution 1, the Brachiosaurus had the most amount of skin options available across lots of different designs. We had the base game design, we had the Jurassic Park 93 design, we had the Jurassic Park 3 design, and I'm sure there was one more that I'm forgetting. But the point was, there were lots of variation in skin and lots of variation in model, which meant you could use one particular type for Giraffatitan and use one for Brachy, or do a lot of different, male, female, sexual dimorphism and such like that with the Brachiosaurus. In this game, the skin colors and patterns are poor. And I agree, Jurassic Tyrant, Brachiosaurus has become irrelevant now that we have a better looking Dreadnoughtus and the Alamosaurus, which just blows the Brachy out of the water. The animations are awkward as well, something. I would totally agree with you there. And what baffles me is that they didn't give the Brachiosaurus another model switch like they did with the Giga and the Barry, the Giga, the Dread, and the Iguanodon. We could have had something like that for the Jurassic Park 3 Brachiosaurus, and that kind of probably would have saved it from being boring to being okay. But as it stands now, it is one of the most dull sauropods. And that's disappointing. Camarasaurus, I think, has the same problem. Boring, bland skins. I actually think the model for Camarasaurus is very bad. It doesn't look a thing like the skeleton. And again, why would you use Camarasaurus instead of the Amargasaurus or the Alamosaurus or Diplodocus or Niger? I think the Brachy and the Camara definitely need some love from the modding community to save it. Now, Carcharodontosaurus. I don't use Carcharodontosaurus enough in my parks. And I'm not sure why. What do people think about the Carchar? I should actually state that in Jurassic Park Operation Genesis, Carcharo and Acro were my favourite carnivores in Jurassic Park Operation Genesis, but that was primarily for their skins. I don't use it very much or never, says Pedro. It's okay, but I still like the Acro more. Jurassic says that it's good. The patterns are not fantastic. There's a flaw in its run anime. It leans way too much to the front. Yeah, all of the big carnivores, they lean too much forwards. They look very ungainly when they run. But I think that's because they're just copy and pasting over the animation from Jurassic World Evolution 1. Yeah, Carchar, there are some nice skins. There are some okay patterns. I miss the goth emo Carchar from Jurassic Park Operation Genesis with sort of the black skin with the red crests above the eyes. I thought, yeah, that was fantastic. I don't mind the spikes along the back of the spine. I know a lot of people kind of complained about that, but you've got to differentiate these big carnivores somehow, and I don't mind the spikes. I think it's a very Jurassic Park-y thing to do. But there are better, you know, the Acro is better, the T-Rex is better, the Spino is better, the Suco is better. So I would probably put the car in as okay. I probably don't use it enough, actually. Now, Carnotaurus. Carnotaurus, I didn't really care much about. It's not one of my favourite dinosaurs. However, since the Dominion and the Malta DLCs, the Carno has gone from a dinosaur I didn't really care much for to a dinosaur with some of the best skins in the game. All of the additional dino skins from the movies are great. I love the demon-esque Malta skin for it, for example. But then I also love the Camp Cretaceous skin for it. It does look a bit early 2000s. Something, I agree with you there. You know, that whole bone-wrapped skin, shrink-wrapped design that they all went for in the early 2000s. It does have some cool animations. I do think those animations play too often, and I think that's a criticism I have with the game in general. But it does have some interesting skins, and when it does kind of sit down, it is kind of quite adorable. I wouldn't go as far as to call it the best, but I will put it in as good. Goofy sit. Good boy. Exactly. Now, Pterodactylus. So, Pterodactylus is boring for me. The skins are meh, the patterns are meh. The actual design of the animal itself, there's nothing interesting about it, not really. It doesn't have a crest, it doesn't have an interesting beak, it's just a pterosaur. It's boring. It needed something to lift it up, and it never got it. No one uses it, remove it. I actually have a different animal I want to put in the remove it section for pterosaurs, but we'll get to that later. And I think I'm going to annoy people with it, but I'll explain myself when we get to it. Chasmosaurus is, for me, a better ceratopsian than Triceratops. And goodbye, Aiden. Thank you for popping in. Chasmo has some really nice skin combinations. And unlike Triceratops, the patterns give the frill colours. And that's in line with the paleontology and what we think the frills are used for. They're a very easy animal to look after. I like the animations it has, but it's primarily the skins for me that make it better than Triceratops. So, Chunkingosaurus is next. This is an interesting one. Chunking. I'm not sure about that. Okay, the patterns are okay, they're not fantastic. The skins are okay, they're not fantastic. I think there are better dinosaurs that are similar. Gigant Spino and Hwango spring instantly to mind. So it's not going to be close to the top. I wouldn't remove it, and I don't think it's bad. I'm not going to put it in boring, because I have a different Stegosaurian I want to put there. I'm going to put it in as okay. It's just an okay Stegosaurian. The things it does can be found better on other stegosaurs. So Coelophysis. So Coelophysis was one of the few brand new species we got in the game. It's actually a lot smaller than I thought Coelophysis actually was. I suppose walking with dinosaurs always kind of made the Coelophysis look a bit bigger than it truly actually was. The skins are good. The patterns are good. Yes, Jurassic. I think that's the main problem with it. It's just a better compy and a little bigger than a compy. I would probably put it in as good only because of the skins, but I would also potentially put it in as an okay as well, because I think it's a bit small for the game. Corythosaurus. I have a secret soft spot for Corythosaurus in my parks. Pedro is like, it's boring. It's okay. I would disagree that it's boring. The skins are interesting. The patterns are interesting. I agree with you there. Something. I think the fact that some of these hadrosaurs are bipedal, which is not in line with current paleontological science, does annoy me. Yes, you could say the para is better, Jurassic, but I think there are worse hadrosaurs. I'm going to put it in as okay, because it's certainly nowhere near the top end of the list, but it's nowhere near the bottom either, because there are just worse. There are just so many worse animals compared to the Cory. Crichtonsaurus. Again, like the other ankylosaurs in the game, it suffers from quite limited skins. I would say that the position of Crichtonsaurus has kind of been taken over by the Minmi now, because it's a better, smaller animal. So I would agree that I would put it in as probably kind of boring. They needed to do something more with it to save it. And it just doesn't have the better skins like Ankylosaurus does. That being said, you could probably make a park where the Crichtonsaurus is done as a juvenile Anky. So at least you have some options there. Oh, hello, no guy. Cryolophosaurus. Which was one of the other new guys that we had come to the game. I was a bit disappointed they didn't make more of the crest. I think they could have made some more vivid skins. But the skins and patterns we do have are very good. Yeah, exactly, Jurassic. I would have liked something a bit more colourful. I think it was a bit... They played it a bit safe. I wouldn't put it in best, because I think there are better mid-sized animals than the Cryo. But I will put it in as good. It is a good, medium-sized animal. You know, like the Carno, like the Cerato. It's a good one. Deinonychus, I think. Deinonychus is troublesome. What do people think about Deinonychus? Remove, says Pedro. Pedro, why do you say remove? Well, Jurassic Tyrant says remove as well. Wow, there is there's no love for Deinonychus, is there? Wow. It's a sort of interpretation which I hate but can't look away from. Yeah. I mean, the problem with Deinonychus is that it is basically Velociraptor. I mean, okay, let me rephrase that actually. The problem with Deinonychus is that it's basically a Jurassic Park raptor. And we already have the Jurassic Park raptors. If the Deinonychus had come with feathers, then maybe it would have been distinctive enough to kind of be better than the Jurassic Park raptor. But they gave it the sort of basilisk frill and tail frill. And as a result, the skins and the patterns kind of apply to the... It's a difficult one. I wouldn't remove it. Or maybe remove it. What do we think? Do we think remove it, or do we put it in as boring or okay? I usually use Deinonychus with a mod to make it look cooler or more accurate. Replace it with Utah, I think bad. Okay, then Deinonychus gets lumped into the remove it. Dilophosaurus. Dilophosaurus. Right. It goes in as bad for me. And I will defend myself here because I think I'm going to annoy everyone. I have never liked the Dilophosaurus in Jurassic Park. Because everyone now thinks the Dilophosaurus is that, and it's not true. The spitting is not true. The frills are not true. I agree with Manuel there, like, the broken hips and size are wrong. It's even incorrect as per the novels, because we know that the novel Dilo was bigger and truer to the actual size. And while it has some interesting patterns and skins, I actually think the dinosaur doesn't use this spitting, and, you know, it doesn't spit enough for me. And that's like the main thing of the dinosaur. It's supposed to spit at stuff. So, yeah, it's a bad dinosaur for me. I don't like it. And I think there are better, smaller carnivores I would use. Dimetrodon. So, ignoring the fact that Dimetrodon for me is kind of tainted by Jurassic World Dominion. Okay, it's in the top half because it's interesting. It's our first. It's a non-dinosaur reptile, well, mammal-like reptile. It is unique. It has the sailback. It's not most accurate to the skeleton. I think they could have definitely made it look a bit more accurate to the skeleton. The skins, some of the skins are good, and some of the patterns are good. Some of them really don't work. I think I wouldn't go as far as best. I think good. I think it's a good animal. Dimorphodon. The Dimorphodon. So, like all the lagoon animals, the pterosaurs suffer from a complete lack of animations. You know, they don't really have social animations, they don't walk anywhere, they flap way too much, they don't glide enough for a pterosaur. And I think it's very annoying to me that animals like Dimorphodon and Tapejara don't have correct sort of feeders for their diets. Dimorphodon didn't eat fish. It hunted lizards and small mammals and insects. It's not a fish-eating pterosaur, but it has to eat fish because otherwise it wouldn't eat. It's a... I wouldn't say it's boring because it has good skins and it has as much as I don't like the way it looks, it does look different, and because we have the smaller Dominion skin, we now can have juvenile Dimorphodon and adult Dimorphodon, so we have the option of kind of mixing it up a bit. I'm gonna put it in okay. With the caveat of, I think it could have been better. Diplodocus. So, Diplodocus for me is better than the Apato. It's not boring. It does have its flaws, but I think the general design of it is better than the Apato. It looks more interesting. The skins and patterns are slightly better. But I do agree, Pedro, all of the sauropods have had very bad skins. Apart from Dread and Alamo. So I'm going to put it in the okay. It's not brilliant, it's okay. It's better than Apato. Draco Rex. Dinosaur I don't use very much. Okay skins, okay patterns. Wow, Pedro's like, remove it. Remove Draco Rex. Doesn't exist. So Pedro, the whole sort of Pachycephalosaurus, Draco Rex, Stiggy Moloch being the same animal, it's debated. It's not proven yet. So we can't say it doesn't exist. Remove it, replace it with Stegocarus. I would actually kind of like Stegocarus. I do agree that there are better animals like Hermalocephaly. I'm gonna go with that it's boring. It just doesn't do enough. And yeah, even if it exists, the Stiggy is better. Dreadnoughtus. Now, we have to be careful here. Because, yes, Dreadnoughtus has been saved by Dominion. Now, we don't have the option of an additional, like the Dominion version of it. The base game, so if I was going to go based on separating them, the base game version of the Dread is bad. It's ugly as heck. The skins are terrible. It's just bad. But now we have that movie skin, and now we can apply those different skins and different patterns for it. The Biosyn version of the Dread is, I would go as far as saying it's a good sauropod. With the caveat that it has to be the bias inversion. Dryosaurus. The problem with Dread and JWE2 is that the heads are straight up all of the time. Yeah. That is a problem. The Dryosaurus has very nice skins, very nice patterns. I think it's more interesting as an ornithopod than the Archaeornithomimus was. So we're looking in the top sections. I don't think it's the best. I think there's a different dinosaur that should be in the best. Good for a petting zoo or a mill. I'm going to put it in the good. Skins, patterns, and animations are amazing. You know what? Let's be nice. Let's give it a best. It's one of the best. You know, I will just adjust where I'm going to put my others. Use it much more than Galley, and I even make sure that the stego in my parks has kept company with the species. Yeah. Obviously, we're not when we're discussing this, we are not talking about how easy they are to look after in game or anything like that. There's quite a lot of dinosaurs that would be lower on lists if we included gameplay problems. Sungaripterus. Interesting skins, interesting patterns. It does kind of steal the limelight out from the Pterodactylus. So it's definitely higher than Pterodactylus. It has a very interesting design. You know, the crest is interesting, the shape of the beak is interesting. It's not the best. I'm going to put it in as good. It's good. It's a good pterosaur. Edmontosaurus. So for me, the Edmontosaurus is why I don't use Maiasaura. It has better skins, it has better patterns, it looks better. It's not too far up though the list because it's still not a very interesting animal. It doesn't have interesting animations, it doesn't have an interesting design. I mean, I wouldn't put it in. I think okay is a bit harsh, so I think good. I think good. Elasmosaurus. For me, easily one of the best. I really like the Elasmo's skins and patterns. There are some really beautiful combinations. I really like the one that kind of makes it look like it's like copper, that's bronze. It's like changing from that sort of bronze brown to the green. I really like that particular skin. I think it's brilliant. I also like the way that it looks. I think it has a really cool look to it. I know it's a little monstrous, sort of heading towards Liopleurodon territory, but I think it looks really nice. There is that problem though. I agree with you there. Something we do have, we have Attenborosaurus and we have the Styxo. I don't think Styxo is on this list either. Yeah, so this one is this one was the most updated one I could find, and Styxo isn't on this list, much to my annoyance. But I would agree with you there. Styxo definitely is one of the best as well. I think it's quite crowded at the top there. Styxo, Attenborough, and Elasmo are very good. Very good. aquatics. Euoplocephalus. I hate the way the Euoplocephalus looks. I'm sorry. I know it's a realistic depiction of the ankylosaurid with the sort of the skins, the armor sort of impregnated into the skin and everything else. But I think it looks like an overinflated balloon. It's obese. And I just think it doesn't look as visually intimidating and ankylosaurian as the Ankylosaurus. But it does have better skins than the Ankylosaurus. Pedro's like, how you dare. I think it has better skins than the Ankylosaurus. I just don't like the way that it looks. I think, to be fair, I'll have to put it in as in the same place as the Anky, because they both have problems. One, if we need the skins of the Euoplo on the body of the Ankylo, and then it would be great. Then it would be fine. Instead, we have one that looks good but has poor skins, and one that has great skins but looks fat. And it has boring animations. I agree. Gallimimus. So it's classic out dinosaur. Pedro thinks it's good. Something thinks it's just okay. Some of the skins and patterns are quite bad. But it is a classic. But it is kind of boring. I'm going to put it in... It's okay. It's not good, because there are just too many bad skins for it. And there are no good animations for it. Geostambergia. Basically, it's Pteranodon. But a proper Pteranodon, with a proper crest, good skins, good patterns. I would agree that it's easily... Is it the best? Ooh, that's tricky. Yeah, I would go as far as to say it's the best. For me. Definitely the best of the pterosaurs. Giganotosaurus. Now, obviously, the old Giga was terrible. It looked rubbish. The skins and the patterns we had for it were rubbish. Now, we have a better model, better skins, better patterns. It isn't, though, as good as the Acro. Not for me. The model version is the movie version is definitely better than the base model. So I'm going to say it's good now, like the Dreadnoughtus. But I think it suffers because, we really shouldn't have to use only half of the... It is very inaccurate. I agree with you there, Pedro. But so is Dimetrodon, and we put him in good, so... Gigantspinosaurus. Good skins, good patterns. So something says remove it. So I think the problem we have here is that Chungking, Hwango, and Giganto are just too similar to each other. It's a square with spines. The Huangosaurus is probably one of the best. I think Gigant Spino probably... I don't know. Oh yeah, and the Kentrosaurus as well. I wouldn't go as far as to say it's boring. I don't think it's boring. You know, it looks very distinctive. But it just suffers from the fact there are too many other animals that look very like it. And the skins are good, so I'm going to put it in okay. It's like the Chungking, you know, it's okay. Herrerasaurus. Good skins, good patterns. One of the few Triassic era animals we have. Animation wise, nothing too special. I'm just thinking about the other small carnivores we have in game. So the Monolopho. Yeah, I mean, I would definitely put it... I'm going to put it under good. Herrera is good. It's a good one. It is a worse Australovenator, but because we don't have that particular pack on this tier list maker either. But we'll discuss the animals that are missing from this at the end. We'll decide where they would go. Hamalacephali. Just go straight into the best. It's cute. It has good animations, good skin patterns, good skins in itself. Yeah, it's brilliant. Perfect. And Huangosaurus is one of my biased personal choices. Brilliant animals. The Huango has this amazing lime green and black skin and pattern combo, which looks fantastic. I love also the tiger sort of skin pattern that it has. I think out of the Chungking, Gigant Spino and Huango, it has the best skins and looks the same as them, so perfect. One of the best stegosaurs in the game for me. Ichthyosaurus. So, Ichthy is unfortunately for me boring. It suffers because there are no other ichthyosaurs in the game. This is the only ichthyosaur we have, and there are so many other more interesting members of the species, bigger members of the species like Ophthalmosaurus, Symbospondylus, Shonisaurus. But on top of that, the skins and patterns are quite bad. The pattern, I like the kind of the stripiness to it, but the colours are just never vivid enough. And there's no social animations for an animal that's often depicted as living in pods. We don't have interesting social animations for it. It's just boring as it stands at the moment. Our first hybrid, the Indominus Rex. Now, I'm going to ignore the fact that I think hybrid animals are stupid, okay? I'm ignoring that fact. I want to look at the hybrids as elements of the game. So, we have to rank it alongside the other big carnivores. There are carnivores in the game that do everything better. The Acro has better skins and patterns. The T-Rex is more famous, has better skins, better patterns, looks more intimidating. The Spinosaurus looks more visually interesting. What's the other? And there's another big one. What am I missing? I do like the animation that the Indo has, the sort of social thing it has with the Velociraptors. I think that was a nice touch. I just think the skins for the Indominus Rex could have been more interesting. You know, we had that brilliant purple and yellow concept skin from the first movie that they could have brought back. It's okay. You know, if you want something to put in your park that's different and have it live alongside some raptors in quite a unique enclosure, then pick the Indo. But I think there are better, bigger carnivores. Indoraptor, again, ignoring the fact that Fallen Kingdom was an absolutely god-awful movie, and that the Indoraptor itself is quite disappointing in that film. It does have good skins and good patterns, however. And it is very different. It is very unique for just the way that it moves around and the way that it performs. I think it is better than the Indominus Rex, solely for the skins and for the fact that it's more distinctively different. So good for the Indoraptor. Of course, if this was a tier list based on the film Dinosaurs, which I might do in a different stream, it would be way down. So this is based on the game, not my movie inclination. Kentrosaurus is one of those animals that I think suffers like chunking and Gigantspino. I would say that the patterns and the skin combinations are slightly better. And now that we have the Malta variation, we do kind of have some interesting possibilities of what we can do with it. The Camp Cretaceous Kentro is terribly inaccurate, but we could make one and claim it's like a Tujungasaurus or something like that. So there's options here for us. I won't say it's the best. It's a good Stegosaurian. It's better than Chunking and Gigantspino. Kronosaurus, bias choice. It is perfect. Kronosaurus is basically the perfect Liopleurodon. It has really nice skins, has really nice patterns. It has this cheeky grin on its face, which is adorable. I think in terms of its design, it's interesting, far better than something we'll talk about in a minute. And it can use the shark feeder in a quite interesting and different way. So yeah, it's one of the best in the game. Marodactylus for me goes straight into the boring, like Pterodactylus. boring skins, boring patterns. And if you want a dinosaur, if you want a pterosaur that looks like Ornithochirus, you would just pick Tropognathus, which is actually what Ornithochirus is based on. So, yeah, two pterosaurs from Brazil that just boring and bland and badly implemented. Now, Majungasaurus is an interesting one. Majunga, for me, was my #1 hated dinosaur from the first game. I hated Majungasaurus. I thought in the first game the skins were bad and awful. I thought the animal looked ugly, and there were better animals. This game has saved it on the skins and the patterns. I still think it's ugly, and I still think there are better dinosaurs. But the skins have changed it from being a remove it to being a good for me. I would rather use Majunga than Kakar or Aloe. Memenchisaurus. Good skins sometimes, good patterns sometimes. Like the other sauropods, suffers from being quite boring in terms of animation. It just stands there and lets carnivores kill it. It doesn't fight them in any way. And I think there are some skins and patterns that don't work on it. I don't think it's as good as the Dread. It's better than the others, though. It's better than Kamara and Brachy. So, into the okay bracket. Definitely. Jurassic. I agree with you there. Megalosaurus goes straight into the best for me. For a few different reasons. The model is great. The skins are great. The patterns are great. There's this really cool, what I call the Jaffa Cake skin, which is like black on the top, and then orange, and then white, which is just like a Jaffa Cake. It's another British dinosaur, so I'm kind of a little biased for it because of that. And definitely Jurassic. It's it's one of the most important dinosaurs ever. It should have been in the first game, in my opinion. So, I mean, actually, it's probably, I agree with you there something. The patterns could be better, but my biased personal opinion is that it's brilliant. Metriacanthosaurus for me is the medium-sized carnivore that goes into best. Because the skins, the patterns, the model, it's just a great dinosaur. Metriacanthosaurus was one of my most used medium-sized carnivores in the first game. It's weird, I love it and I hate it at the same time, and I don't know why. It's like Marmite. Minmai. So, Minmai is cute. Some of its skins and patterns are good. Some of the skins and patterns are bad. It's one of the few dinosaurs that come from Australia, so it's at least interesting for that. I think it's better than Anki and Uwoplo. I don't think it's best, but it is good. Monolophosaurus. Good skins, great patterns, very vivid, and I like a good vivid skin. I'm not a big fan of the Camp Cretaceous skin for it. I think the Camp Cretaceous skin is actually very bland and very boring. Let's see. Is it better? Is it okay? No, it's better than okay. It has genuinely better skins. Is it as good as Metri? See, because in the best category, we're probably going to have a competition between Proceratosaurus and Monolophosaurus for the best small-ish carnivore. But I do like the colours. I'll put it in best, actually, I think. I think the skins are what wins out for me for the Monolopho. Mosasaurus. This might offend some people. It's bad. I'm sorry. It is bad. The patterns might as well not exist. The skins might as well not exist. It's exceedingly difficult to get any real nice colour combinations out of the Mosasaurus. Hello, Dane.
Hi. Are you making people angry?
Well, possibly. They might disagree with me about the Mosasaur.
Considering the fact that you have removed it as a tier, I'm not, you know.
Surprised. I wouldn't go as far as to say remove it.
Fletcher.
Yeah, I know.
That's what I said.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I'm responding to you. Like, I wouldn't go as far as to say I would remove it because it does have that prominent position in Jurassic World. But in the game, it's bad. It's bland. It's got boring color combinations and skins. There are no good animations for it because none of the aquatics have nice animations. Trying to get the Mosasaurus in the actual game, in challenge mode, for example, is a pain in the ass. It's way too expensive and difficult to get to. So yeah, I think it's a badly implemented dinosaur, and that's not dinosaur, aquatic. And that's really important to remember about the bad category. It's for animals that are just badly implemented. Muttaburrasaurus. It's okay. The skins and patterns are nice, but it's okay. I'd probably use, Parasaurolophus or Iguanodon more. Yes, Muttaburrasaurus is, well, it's not technically a hadrosaurid anymore. I believe it's a rabidontid now. I think it's been reclassified. It's funny because Muttaburrasaurus used to be one of my favourites in Jurassic World Evolution 1, so... Nasutoceratops. If I was going to be cruel and unfair, I'd put it in bad because I'm so sick of Nasutoceratops being like the Jurassic World Ceratopsian. Like, when did that happen? Like, we saw Triceratops only ever in the first Jurassic World film. And then it's basically been replaced by Nasutoceratops wherever it can. And I just think that's unfair. But talking about strictly as a game species, it's interesting because it does have that sort of bull horn, sticky, slashy thing. The skins are okay, the patterns are okay, so it's similar to the Triceratops for me. Yeah, I wouldn't go higher than that. I don't think it's as good as Chasmosaurus, which has better skins, in my opinion. So yeah, equivalent to Triceratops for me, Nasuto. Nigersaurus, immediately good for me. It's basically the Amargasaurus without the horns. It has nice skins, nice patterns, but there are better herbivores for me that would go into the best section. It's a good dinosaur, and I actually think Nigersaurus needs to be used more. I don't think enough people give Nigersaurus much love. I think it's ignored because the Amargasaurus is the more interesting animal. Nodosaurus is another good animal for me. The skins and patterns are okay. I think it looks good because it looks like an ankylosaurian. And it has one of the cutest social animations in the game. I think it's adorable. And that saved it for me. Nodosaurus and Nigersaurus are two animals I think don't get enough love, in my opinion. Allura Titan is one of the best. Well, no, it's good. Allura Titan has good skins. Yes? The wrapping paper?
Yeah, for no reason whatsoever.
It's next to the DVD rack.
I am fucking blind.
You are, but...
Shush. Shut.
So Allura Titan, sorry about that, folks. Allura Titan has very nice skin patterns, with the crest. Has very nice, skin colors. Has some interesting look to it because of the crest. The Allura Titan's biggest downside for me is the fact that it walks bipedally, which it just looks wrong for all of the hadrosaurids. And it has dead soulless eyes. Well, it does come from Russia. I'm just going to leave that there. Straight on to Ouranosaurus. This might, again, set some people off, but I think Ouranosaurus is bad. I think Ouranosaurus has been spoiled by the attempt to make it look more realistic. No one can say that the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park or Jurassic World were realistic. But then they've tried to go for this modern interpretation of Ouranosaurus having this hump. And I just think it's ugly. I really miss, if you go online and look at all of the depictions of Ouranosaurus, all of the ones that depict that spine as a sail look so much better and so much more interesting. And I think this is a Jurassic World game. To hell with realism. Make something that is maybe not 100% accurate and make it look interesting. The Ouranosaurus with a hump looks ugly. The skins are bad. The patterns are bad. And I would agree with you, Jurassic Kiwi, that the Camp Cretaceous skin, I'm not convinced about, and I don't like the recolors of it either. I'm not sure on it. Hello, Phoenix. So, yeah, I think the Ouranosaurus for me is bad. Pachycephalosaurus. which ever since I've been a kid, I have been very determined to always say the whole name of. If you're in Britain, you know exactly why you say the whole name of this particular dinosaur. Actually, it's every time Evo shortens it, it does make me cringe slightly. So yes, Pachycephalosaurus. I don't use it very often. I don't think the skins are particularly good, or the patterns. It is an interesting dinosaur now that it can actually do its headbutt social animation all of the time, like it never did in Jurassic World Evolution 1. I think the problem with all the pachycephalosaurs in the game is they're just a bit too bland with their skins. So they all kind of end up in the kind of okay bit. The okay to boring, you know. Yeah, and I don't like the posture something, I agree. It's just way too upright. Pachyrhinosaurus. Is it as good as Chasmo? Yeah, something horrible patterns, horrible colours. Some of them work, most of them don't. Yeah, it's just another okay animal. It is strange. So when I was a kid growing up, Pachyrhinosaurus, the nose horn, you know, the lump on the nose, was actually often depicted as more like a round crater. And now the modern interpretation is that it's like this lump, oval lump on the front. And I really don't like the modern interpretation. I mean, I know it's probably more accurate, but that just lump just makes it look like it has a growth. I actually like it better than Nisutoceratops, but unfortunately Frontier played it too safe. Yes, I agree. I just wish the patterns and the colours were better. You know, it has a nice skin texture or something, I agree with you there, but the colours are just off. Parasaurolophus. So it would have been best if they didn't screw up the posture. I'm sorry. The depiction of hadrosaurs being bipedal is wrong. It's just incorrect. It's like depicting sauropods rearing up on their hind legs, which we know they can't do. The bipedal hadrosaur design just irks me in this game, and I know I said we don't have to be paleontologically accurate, but if you're gonna have paleontologically accurate Ouranosaurus, at least paleontologically accurate all of your hadrosaurs. You can't have bipedal hadrosaurs and then accurate quadrupedal hadrosaurs in the same. Pick one or the other. It does have nice skins though, does have nice colours, is interesting because of the crest, and does have the Lux skins. I would have liked more variation in the Lux skins, especially in terms of their colour, but it's good, you know. Some hadrosaurs look good as bipedal. Phoenix, can you actually give me one? Yeah, the 2022 skins actually aren't bad for the para. I'll agree with you there. I actually think of the 2022 skins, I think the paras are the best, or the Carnos. So I just don't think it goes in as best because the Iguanodon has the better posture, more accurate, better animations, better skins and patterns. So it's nowhere near the best, but it is good. Pentaceratops. My least favourite ceratopsian from the first game. in this game suffers a bit like the Nasutoceratops and the Triceratops, in as that the see you later, Jurassic Kiwi, in that the Pentaceratops just has boring patterns and boring skins. There are one or two patterns and skins that are good, but apart from that, it's very bland. So definitely only okay. Nowhere near as good as Casme. Plesiosaurus. It's not best. It's I think Plesiosaurus is like it's a good aquatic. The skins and the patterns are nice. It looks quite adorable with that snake head. I think it looks brilliant. The Attenborosaurus and Elasmo are definitely way better, but Plesio is definitely not just okay. I think it's definitely good. Saved by the skins. Polacanthus, like all the other ankylosaurids in the game, suffers from poor skins and poor patterns and poor colours. And it annoys me. I don't understand why they can't make an ankylosaurus look good. Frontier they just ruined the ankylosaurians in this game. I mean, it's not boring in my opinion, but it's not good. Proceratosaurus. You know what, actually I'm not sure I would, because I think Sauropelta is better. So Polacanthus, as much as I like you, ends up in the boring section. Thinking about it. Proceratosaurus is basically Monolophosaurus but smaller, with slightly more vivid skins on occasion. It's not as good as Herrera, I don't think. Or the Indoraptor. I think it's an okay species, Procerato. Yeah, true, the Procerato animations are a bit more dynamic. But they're too close together. Let's go for the midway point and say that it's good. I don't think it's the best, but I do think it's better than the okay tier. Pteranodon. I'm sorry, it's going into bad, and I will not forgive Frontier for doing this with the Pteranodon. Why have they given us the crestless, ugly, boring Pteranodon? Where is the beautiful crested Pteranodon? Even the 2001 skin version doesn't have the proper crest. It's bad. And it doesn't walk. It doesn't do anything either. So in terms of animation quality, it's immediately marked down. But the fact that it doesn't even have the proper crest on the head. Yeah, why would you use Pteranodon instead of Geosternbergia or Barbaridactylus, which are both basically Pteranodon with better skins and better models? We need, I agree with you there, Jurassic Tyrant, we need the proper crested 1997 Pteranodon back, like we had from the first game. Pyroraptor. My biased choice, one of my all-time favourite animals. If I was doing this based on the movies, Pyroraptor would be at the bottom. But in the game, It's the only properly feathered dromaeosaur we have. The skin combinations are beautiful. There is a combination of sort of white feathers with blue markings on the face and tufts of brown on the tail tips, which make me think of like a secretary bird. I think it's beautiful. I don't care that it can't swim, because frankly I think that its swimming in Dominion was stupid. As a dinosaur in the game, it's brilliant. It's honestly criminal that the Jurassic World 2015 accurate skin is locked behind the challenge mode. Is it? I didn't know that, because obviously I play with mods, so I just put in a modded save. So don't worry about all that challenge mode rubbish. Agreed something. Pyro doesn't have a bad skin. Oh, Pteranodon, right. Kinjalosaurus. Very beautiful skins. Absolutely stunning skins. I actually have a book written by the guy who discovered this. Talking about this guy. A very interesting read. It is... Is it best? The skins are better than Cerato. And the skins are better than Alberto. But it's not as visually interesting as Dinosaur, as Carno, or Cryo. Metriacanthosaurus has the better skin patterns. I'm not sure I'd agree with that. Very torn. I'd go with its best, but only because I love vivid dinosaur skins, and its skins are the most vivid we have in the game. I think there are flaws with it. I mean, if I was going to be really tough on myself, I'd probably mark it have as another category between best and good here. Quetzalcoatlus. This is definitely going to annoy people. Remove it. No, actually, not remove it. No, yeah, no, remove it. Remove it. It is too big. It is far too big for the aviaries. That's number one. Number two, the aviaries are not tall enough to enable it to look like it could fly reasonably inside it. Number three, it can't walk because we don't have that animation implemented. So the fact that these animals were sorts of ones that would walk around quite a bit makes its size even more of a problem. I completely agree with what Saurian is saying there. The game as it stands cannot do an animal that is the size of Quetzalcoatlus justice. Properly make it an amazingly big aviary species. Like the Deinonychus, we need to remake the Quetzal or remake the aviaries. In fact, it is worth pointing out here that the Quetzalcoatlus model in game, the one that Dominion has, is actually bigger than Quetz should actually normally be. So I think if the Quetzalcoatlus we had in game was the actual size of Quetzalcoatlus, it would work. But because we have that overinflated Dominion version, it doesn't. they needed to do more work instead of just giving us an oversized animal. Yeah, something. It's actually bigger than that. Like some people have estimated that in the film it's actually more like 15 meters. Nerd guy, I still pronounce Deinonychus differently from anyone. I've not heard any other pronunciations of Deinonychus apart from Deinonychus, so curious about that one. So yeah, Quetzalcoatlus, although I love the skins, and it has some very cool killing animations, as an implementation to the game... Oh, Deinonychus. See... Yeah, Deinonychus... Deinonychus... See, when I was growing up, the pronunciation was listed as Deinonychus. I don't know if Deinonychus is the modern interpretation. It's a bit like, you know, do you say Parasaurolophus or Parasaurolophus? Of course, if you say Diplodocus, you're wrong. It's just like that. So, Sauropelta is more interesting than Polycanthus, but has the problems the other ankylosaurids have, so it's just an okay. Yeah, it's a bit more unique than Polycanthus. The skins are slightly better than Polycanthus, but it suffers from the same problems the other ankylosaurians have in the game. It's not as good as Nodosaurus, because Nodosaurus has better skins and a better animation. Music stopped again. Now, Scorpius Rex. People are going to be surprised with this one. I think it's good. And I'll explain why. If I was doing this based on the films and the TV show, Scorpius Rex would be at the very, very, very bottom, because it's stupid. It is the most stupid hybrid, and makes very little sense either. But in-game, Scorpius Rex looks very visually distinctive compared to other dinosaurs. So it is perfect for like a horror park, as Jurassic states. While I don't think the animations are as interesting as they could be, like it's supposed to be able to shoot its quills at things, which it doesn't do in game as far as I'm aware. If it does, I've never seen it. But what really saves the Scorpius Rex for me is it has some of the most beautiful skins of any of the dinosaurs. The patterns are brilliant and the skin combinations are great. Like, if we could put the skins of the Scorpius Rex on the Albertosaurus or Ceratosaurus or T-Rex or any other dinosaur, it would be that dinosaur would immediately be bumped up because the skins are beautiful. And it baffles me that they created such brilliant skins for the Scorpius Rex, but couldn't be asked to do something equally as interesting for any of the big sauropods that are all stuck in okay or boring. So yeah, Scorpius Rex, good. But like I say, if I was going based on real sort of film stuff, fucking remove that shit. But for this, it is good. Even if it's very ugly, but the ugliness makes it distinctive. Sinoceratops. Again, like the other ceratopsians, it's just okay. It's obese, for one. The model itself is completely wrong, it's inaccurate. The skins are not very good, the patterns are not great. The animations are too similar to any of the other ceratopsians we have in game. And I just can't get over the fact they've made it fat. It's like the Euoplocephalus. Why are we... They've made it obese. It looks like an animal that can barely move. Let alone, you know, run around and stuff. Spinosaurus. Is not the best, in my opinion. But I definitely think it's better than okay. I don't think it's boring, because just the design of the Spinosaurus is interesting, with the sail and everything else. I don't think it's badly implemented, because it does eat from the fish feeder. I'm going to put it in as good. And although I'm not really counting this, there are mods coming for it which make it look more realistic. Which does kind of apply to the Spinos, in the same way that there are mods that make the Liperodon look like the Walking with Dinosaurs version. For me as a PC gamer, it does kind of add another layer of interest to these animals, so... Spino is good. Stegosaurus. I'm sorry, it's boring, and Evo is going to feel a disturbance in the force, but it's boring. I'm sorry. And to explain why, let's do the Wurhosaurus. The Wurho is easily the best. The difference between them is that Stegosaurus, the skins are bland. The patterns are also bland. Why is it the Frontier ignore the fact that pretty much every artistic representation of a Stegosaurus now have the plates done up in colours? Like the Wuhosaurus, the Stegosaurus plates are always bland and non-colourful, and the actual dinosaur itself has no colour either. What also annoys me about Stegosaurus is the posture is wrong. The tail is too droopy, it's too close to the ground, the tail needs to be held higher up, parallel to the spine, because at the moment the spine is bending like a humpback hill, and that's not comfortable for the dinosaur. And it's paleontologically inaccurate. And then to top it off, it's just got the same copy-pasted animations from the first game, which is lazy. And I can't stand laziness from computer game developers. So, for me, Stego is boring. Struthiomimus, straight in there. My biased personal choice, one of the best ornithomimid in game, and one of the best dinosaurs in game. There is literally no skin or pattern combination on the Struthiomimus that looks bad. They look brilliant, whatever colour, whatever pattern. They look perfect in any sort of environment with any sort of patterns. The patterns and colour combinations, you have a range of realistic to vivid and everything in between. They're easy to look after from a gameplay perspective. And they're underappreciated. Yes, it could be more interesting in terms of animations, but I think it's underappreciated as an animal, a bit like the Metriacanthosaurus, a bit like Iguanodon, a bit like Edmonto or Chasmo or Majunga or Nodosaurus or Olorotitan or Nigeosaurus. Struthi just doesn't get enough attention. because it's not as interesting as, a horned ceratopsian, but it's perfect. There's literally nothing wrong with it. Stygimoloch is basically Pachycephalosaurus with more interesting skins, patterns, and a head. But I don't think for me that makes it a good animal. I think it's just okay, the same as the Pachycephalosaurus. It might be a bit cuter than the Pachycephalosaurus. And it's probably the best Pachycephalosaurian dinosaur. But I would rather use the Struthi, or the Huango, or the Chasmo, or the Nodosaurus in my parks. Styracosaurus. So this one actually flops into boring, unfortunately. Styracosaurus for me is let down by the skins and the patterns. They're all bad. Or they're very lacking. And although it's like one of the most interesting looking ceratopsians, just because of the spikes on the frill, I think it's disappointing that it doesn't have any special animations using those spikes or the frill. And like I say, the skins and the patterns are just so poor that it puts me off using it, which is a shame because I love Styracosaurus as a dinosaur. And I actually think, if we're going to be fair, I think that means Pentaceratops is going to have to be marked down as well. If we're going to be fair about this, Pentaceratops gets marked down just in the same, because of the same problems as Styracosaurus. Suchomimus. It's definitely in the top part. The skins and the patterns are good. And it has a really cute social animation based on albatross. Is it the best? Really, this is us. Is it better than Spinosaurus? Okay, well, here's the question, chat. Spinosaurus and Sucho are basically the same. So which is the better dinosaur? Spinosaurus is more visually interesting. Sucho probably has the better skins. Glitz says better than Spino. Something says Sucho is better. Okay. Sucho goes into best then. Tapejara. Tapejara is pretty equivalent for me to Geostembergia. It has really beautiful skins, makes good use of the crest. The only thing that annoys me about it is that it doesn't have the correct sort of fruit feeders that it would have actually needed to be realistic. So in the future, I think Frontier should introduce a more varied diet for the pterosaurs, because seeing this guy eat fish is very peculiar. But saved by the skins and the patterns. Therizinosaurus, old Freddy Krueger. Is another best. Beautiful skins, beautiful patterns, very visually distinctive and different as a dinosaur, animations are okay, but could be better, more interesting, definitely. But the skins do save it. Yeah, not much more to say about Therizino. Torosaurus, just like all the other ceratopsians in game, boring, bland skins. Torosaurus suffers compared to Triceratops because Torosaurus is basically Triceratops without the fame of being Triceratops, and suffers compared to Nasuto because its skins are worse. Which is a real shame. Troodon is actually a surprisingly good little dinosaur. It has some very nice skins on the Troodon. I think Frontier missed a trick giving us a skin more like the Telltale Jurassic Park the game skin. But, you know, it's as good as Coelophysis, just on the skins. Tropicgnathus, very visually distinctive. A pterosaur that we know actually ate fish. Very nice skins, very interesting patterns. Definitely as good as Sungaripterus. I wouldn't say as good as Geostambergia or Tabajara because some of the skins are a little bit boring. But definitely, you know, if we're going to say it's closer to the best than say Sungaripterus is for me. Syntausaurus is a remove it for me. I just don't get why you'd use it. There are literally so many other better dinosaurs than Syntausaurus. If you want a crested hadrosaur, why would you not use Allura Titan or Parasaurolophus? If you wanted a hadrosaur, why would you not use Edmonto, Alluro, or Para? If you wanted a similar type of dinosaur, why would you not use Iguanodon, or Para, or Alluro, or Edmonto, or even Coretho or Mutabara? Syntau, it just doesn't do anything different. And again, it's bipedal, which is wrong. Yeah, it's just a bad dinosaur for me. Remove it, replace it with something better. You know, Shatungosaurus, the biggest hadrosaurid dinosaur. I'd rather have that than Syntau or Maya. Tylosaurus. This one is difficult for me. So, it's... The problem with the Tylosaurus I have in game is the model is actually incredibly stiff. If you actually watch the Tylosaurus for any length of time, you'll see it doesn't actually swim like a mosasaur. It doesn't have any flexibility in the model, and I'm not sure what they've done with that. So as a result, it kind of stiffly turns in a dead straight line, like a stick. It's very immersion breaking. I think it looks very good for a Tylosaur, for a aquatic. The skins are okay, the patterns are okay, nothing special. Again, I think Frontier missed a trick by giving us a depiction that was closer to the Telltale game Tylo, which looks very visually distinctive and interesting, but I think is probably stuck behind the copyright of the Telltale game. I'm going to put it in as okay. It's definitely not as good as Plesiosaurus for me. And I would say the animation quality is so bad, it almost goes into the bad section because of that animation issue. But it's okay because modders, again, are saving it. So I'll allow them to save that one. T-Rex and Velociraptor. I don't really feel that they can be put in anywhere other than best, obviously. They have Velociraptor is bad, says something. I would actually put the Atrociraptor in bad. I prefer the Velociraptor to the Atrociraptor. Atrociraptor is just a fat Velociraptor. Yeah, exactly. That's why I don't like it. I don't know. Velociraptor and T-Rex are just kind of... they're just the best because they are what they are. They have brilliant skins. They're famous, dinosaur-wise. You can't really mark them low because it's T-Rex and Velociraptor. They're brilliant. And unlike Triceratops or Brachiosaurus or Stegosaurus, they actually have some vibrant and nicely designed skins, which makes them distinctively different. Now, there are a few animals we're missing. So let's quickly go through those. Yeah, Glitz, this is the most updated version of this I could find, and it was missing the last 2 DLCs, which is disappointing. Morus Intrepidus and Oviraptor for me end up in the bad section because they have the same problems that Compy has. They're too small. And until the game comes up with a better method of us deploying those dinosaurs in the park, we are limited to building an enormous exhibit for these things, and we can't see them. And we have no good... Yeah, Oviraptor has good skins, but it is the first omnivore we have in game. But yeah, I'm also disappointed that the Morus Intrepidus has the same sort of gang kill animation as the Compy, because they are very different looking dinosaurs. So they would both go into the bad. Lystrosaurus, boring. The skins are bad. The pattern's bad. And as a result, it's just not very interesting to use. It's either boring or okay. The Atrociraptor, I would put in as okay. There are better dinosaurs that do things better with better skins. However, some of the skins, like that Panthera, like the white ghost skin, are nice. But yeah, I'd rather have Velociraptor or Herrerasaurus or even Indoraptor than the Atrociraptor, so that just goes into okay. There's a dinosaur pack we're missing as well, isn't there? So Australovenator probably would end up in good with the Majungasaurus. It has very nice skins, but it's just kind of like the Cryolopho or the Majungasaurus. You know, they have nice skins, but it's just another medium-sized carnivore. I mean, you could argue Metriacanthosaurus is in the same sort of difficult position. But I think while the Australovenator and Majunga and Cryo have some skins that don't work, pretty much every skin and pattern combo on the Metriacanthus wins out. So that's why it's in the best for me. Alamosaurus goes straight in as my personal best choice of the sauropod in game, just because it has beautiful skins and patterns and looks really visually distinctive and different and cool. So Alamosaurus is easily in there at the very top. Barbaridactylus would end up somewhere probably the best or good, because it's basically Pteranodon but done properly with nice crests and nice skin. And I think is that all of them, or am I missing one? Oh, Styxosaurus. Styxo probably would go into the best with the Attenborosaurus because of the patterns and the luck skins that it has. Yeah. But like all the aquatics, it suffers from a lack of animations. So that is my tier list based on the game. What I think I'm going to do probably maybe as a stream. I was thinking of streaming on Christmas Eve. So on Saturday. So I think what I might do maybe on that stream is do my film and TV list, because I know there is a film list, dinosaur film list. And that will be better because I can then discuss the hybrids in that and rip them to shreds, which will cheer me up before I have to do all the cooking on Christmas Day. So yeah, I might do that on Saturday. But yeah, there's my tier list, and like I say, I stand by these 11 down here. They are badly implemented, and we could have better. I mean, those 5 animals that we've got there, 2 of them, the Deinonychus and Quetzal, we need reworking. You know, if they made the aviaries bigger, so the Quetz could actually be done properly, then okay. If they made the Deinonychus feathered, so it looks more distinctive than Velociraptor, then okay. Sintao and Myosaura are just boring. Replace them. Have Shatungosaurus and Saurolophus in. They're more visually distinctive and interesting. Or have Shatungosaurus and Platyosaurus. Bring in Platyosaurus. And instead of Archaeornithomimus, I would probably go for a new aquatic. I'd probably go for Symbospondylus. Give us another ichthyosaur species that's bigger, so we have a range of animal type and species and size and everything else. But yeah, so that's my completed tier list. I'm going to put this on the Twitter, which is actually a good thing for me to point out. We do actually have a Twitter. There is a description in the there's a link in the description tab down below. There's also a link there for our DeviantArt page where I post all of my best screenshots. I do try to do sort of a couple every week. So do check out those if you want nice screenshots for your desktop and everything else. We are up to 800 subs as of just before I did this stream, which is amazing. Which means that we might hit our magical 1,000 subs mark in the new year. So I'm very excited for that. Pelicanemimus I would choose to replace Archaeornithomimus. I'll have to go away and look that one up and see if I agree, Jurassic Tyrant. I'm sure we will. Whether we get there quickly or not, we'll see. But hopefully, fingers crossed, based on our growth so far, we should be there soon. I want to thank everyone for joining today and taking part in this little experiment. And if I don't see you on Saturday, hope you have a good Christmas, and I will see you in the next video. Stay safe and goodbye, everyone.